Hi, you guys. It is a beautiful Pacific Northwest afternoon and the sun is shining. The weather is perfect, but unfortunately, after chores this morning and the livestock and a little bit of time in the garden, I am stuck inside. But that's okay, because the reason why I'm stuck inside is today I get to work with the beautiful Roma tomato, and you're going to be very interested in what we're going to do with these. We are going to put up the basic tomato. No sauce, no chili, no spaghetti, nothing. Just the basic tomato. And the reason why is because it's such a versatile item to put up and have in your pantry. And it's the basic staple for cooking from scratch, okay? So if you are making spaghetti sauce or chili sauce, you're gonna need your basic. If you are wanting to add flavor to an omelet or frittata, again, your basic. If you are looking to make a beautiful homemade tomato garlic basil soup in the dead of winter, bring out that jar of tomatoes that you canned up and then go ahead and blend it up and cook it down and make that tomato soup. So what we're going to do is we're going to process these beautiful Roma tomatoes here, and unfortunately these are not grown by me. They're grown by my local farmer who I've known for 13 years, and they grew them for me. And what we're going to do is just can them using the hot water bath method. And the reason why we can do that is because we're going to increase the acidity level of the jar, allowing it to be canned through boiling water. Okay, so when we do that, I'm going to give you every single step that you need to do it. We're going to talk about crushed tomatoes, whole tomatoes, and even diced tomatoes. But regardless of how you put them up, I'm going to tell you, you will never put up enough basic tomatoes. And you're going to come into March really upset because you didn't put up enough tomatoes. And trust me when I say that, because it happens to me every single year that I sit down and I go, I didn't put up enough tomatoes again. So hopefully this will be the year for me to turn around and get my pantry completely full with as many jars as basic tomatoes as possible. All right, you guys. So if you're ready to do this, let me go put my hair up. I'm going to put my apron on, and then I'm going to get the water boiling, and we're going to get started. So the basics of putting up tomatoes is going to begin now. Selecting the right tomato isn't about science, it's about preference. And so for us, we like to use the Romas or the plum tomatoes. And the reason why is because they're meaty. They have little seed content, they hold well in the jars, and they cook down exceptionally well for making sauces such as chili or spaghetti. And then if you wanted to use them to make soups, they're actually perfect for that. But that doesn't stop you from needing to use the vine ripes or the beef steaks out in the garden. It just means that there's very little meat to seed ratio. So you have a lot of seeds, a little bit of meat. And on top of that, those types of tomatoes don't can well unless you're already making a sauce for them. I like to put an X on the blossom end of my tomatoes. That just allows for the peeling of them a lot easier after they've been blanched. Now, if your tomatoes crack, of course you don't need to do that, but more times than not, if the skin is a little thick, that X on the bottom makes it just easier for you as you're doing your job. It's vital to make sure your jars are sterilized prior to putting food in them. If you own a dishwasher, go ahead and load up your dishwasher with your jars, run it through a nice hot wash cycle, and pull out jar by jar as you're filling them up. If you're like us and you don't own a dishwasher, you're gonna go the old-fashioned route and get a nice big stock pot, bring the water to boil your jars for 10 minutes, and pull out jar by jar as you need them. When blanching my tomatoes, I use a blanching basket. It's cut my time in half, and it's actually helped me to not overcook my tomatoes in the process. Once the X is in place on my tomatoes, I load it up into the blanching basket and then take that basket and submerge it into boiling water. Your tomatoes will take anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minutes to peel, depending on how ripe they are. If they are exceptionally ripe, it'll take even less than a minute. However, if they're not quite ripe yet, it can take anywhere up to 1 to 3 minutes to get the peel to come off. One of the best tips I can give is to take your lids and rotate them back and forth to each other. That helps prevent them from sticking together as you're trying to remove them from the hot water. I just want to spend a minute talking about the importance of not bringing your lids to boiling water. And the reason why you don't want to do that is that the hot boiling water removes some of the wax that's found on the bottom of the lids. All you need to do is just keep them in at hot water temperature. And by using a mini crock pot, for example, that hot water warms the wax on the bottom of the lids, allowing the proper seal to happen to the jars during the boiling process or the pressure canning process. You do not want to ever bring those lids to boiling point. Once you've removed your blanching basket from your boiling water, you want to immediately submerge it into ice water, either ice water or extremely cold water. And the reason why you want to do that is twofold. The first is to stop the cooking process. You don't want your tomatoes to cook as they're sitting there extremely hot. The second is it's easier to slip the skins off if they're nice and cool to the touch. So just take them, submerge them into some ice cold water, and then let them sit for a few seconds, and then you can start your peeling process. As you're peeling your tomatoes, make sure you reserve the skin, and we're going to talk about that a little bit towards the end and why it's important that you do so. You want to create a zero waste product, and those peels can be used for a plethora of other reasons, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on down the line. Now you need to decide how you want to pack your jars. Do you want to pack it with whole tomatoes, diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, or sliced tomatoes? For very reasons that are obvious, I stopped packing them whole. I could fit more into a jar if I use the other methods versus using the whole method. And then I've come to realize that just slicing them is just much easier as well too. I can go ahead and still use them for various reasons after that. To dice a tomato, it takes a little bit more work. You're removing the seed content of it and you're cutting them up into bite-sized pieces. Those are great if you have specific jobs that you want to do with that tomato, but for us, we just don't do any diced tomatoes around here. Once your jars are packed, it's important to increase your acidity level in your jars, even if you're using an heirloom product. The air, the water, and the soil isn't what it used to be, creating a weaker heirloom product. So regardless if you're using heirloom or hybrid, go ahead and increase the acidity level of it. With a quart-sized jar, it's 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. With a pint-sized jar, it's just 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. You're going to want to, at this point, fill your jars with boiling water. Use your funnel, fill your jars, leaving a 1-inch gap difference from the top of your jar down to the water mark. It's quite important to remove all the air bubbles in your jar. If you don't, that can hinder the process of the vacuum sealing, and your jars tend to not vacuum seal quite well. All you're going to need is a plastic utensil. Slide it up and down throughout your whole entire jar to release your air bubbles. Now, if your water falls short of the 1-inch mark after your air bubbles have been removed, go ahead and just add more boiling water, giving a 1-inch difference from the top of the jar down to the bottom where that 1-inch mark is. Salt is optional if you want to add it to your canned goods. If you want, you can add a little pinch of salt. That's all you're going to really need. Herbs and spices tend to amplify the longer it sits on shelves. For that reason, we really use a minimum amount of herbs and spices in anything that we can. At this point, you're ready to go ahead and clean the top of your jars. Get a clean cloth, dip it in some hot water or some white vinegar, and go ahead and wipe the top of your jars. I like to wipe the sides of them as well too. You're ready to add your lids to your jars at this point. Grab your metal lifter, put it in your mini crock pot, pull out a lid, and place it on there. Grab a ring and only tighten it to the point where it's finger tight. Wrenching it onto your jars can cause your lids to buckle. And if they buckle, they're not going to be sealed. You're ready to go ahead and put your tomatoes into a hot water bath canner. And you have 2 options. You can either boil them inside on your stove, or you could take them outside and use what we use. This is the Camp Chef propane outdoor stove. Now, it's great. You just need to learn the sweet spot of that stove, whether or not you're pressure canning or your hot water bath canning on it. There's always a sweet spot. All right, guys, congratulations. You've successfully hot water baths with basic tomato. So now the real question is what to do with all those peels. You've got 3 options. You can throw them in the compost bin, you can feed them to your livestock, or you can go ahead and dehydrate them, making them a tomato peel powder. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you don't want to open a jar of tomatoes to go ahead and use for cooking purposes, for example, to make frittatas or omelets, and you just want a tomato taste, take a couple of tablespoons of the tomato peel, sprinkle it into your egg mix, and there you go. You have a tomato tasting omelet without the use of tomatoes. It's a great way to create a zero waste product and to use up every single ounce of the fruit. So again, dehydrating is definitely going to be the way to go. And if you've never tried it, definitely give it a try and let me know what you think. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell. We release videos every single Wednesday, but sometimes if we're feeling a little saucy, we go ahead and put them out a couple times throughout the week. And our book, The Farm Girl's Guide to Preserving the Harvest, is available on pre-order through Amazon, and it can be in your hot little hands by April 2019. Also, I'm going to have information on this one particular video on the website as well too, because we're going to talk about processing times and processing times based on the elevation in which you live. So check out our website, follow us on Instagram as well as on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe for newsletters through our website, and this will keep you updated as well too. So we'll see you again, maybe on Friday, but on Wednesday, every Wednesday for sure. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and notification. All right, bye, you guys.